Hi, in this video, which is number 4 in the series, we're going to be looking at some of my guitars. So, hope you like them. The Harmony H166 all mahogany guitar from 1944. They're called figure of 8 guitars because they look at it that way. They're pretty much a figure of 8. They're pretty much like small jumbo guitars. As I say, all solid mahogany. I bought this from a fella who was a guitar collector, and he had brought it across from America in an antique guitar case that he'd bought, and he just didn't want to bring the case back empty, so he bought this as a basket case in New York, stuck it in this case, brought it back to England and gave it to, he couldn't tell me the name of the fella, but a luthier in Newcastle who set it up and sort of made it right. And yeah, it's a lovely sounding guitar. It's very, very light. It's incredibly light. Love it. Absolutely love it. So, sounds a bit like this. I like it, hope you do. Right, so here we've got the old Epiphone FT79 from 1951. This is what she sounds like. So, it's a rather different guitar this. One of the distinguishing features of it is that, as you can see, it's actually got a back which is very much like the back of an archtop. I suppose that's the main thing that distinguishes it. Also, its shape is, it's not a dreadnought, it's not a true jumbo, it's somewhere in between. Now, it was, as I say, made in 1951 in the Epiphone factory in New York. So this was long before Epiphone became part of Gibson. And the Epiphones that I've got are not sort of the cheap foreign-made ones that Epiphone, good as they can be, that Epiphone produces nowadays under sort of through owned by Gibson. But they're an independent company making high-quality guitars. Now, there are some very illustrious people who have owned and adored these guitars. Two particular, both people, you know, who I think and most other people think are completely amazing. One is Kurt Cobain, lead singer of Nirvana. He cherished one of these FT79s of a similar year. Now, whether he came to that conclusion by chance or by research or whatever, or whether he actually heard that this model of guitar was actually the favourite and the go-to acoustic guitar of a certain Mr. Jimi Hendrix. Apparently, Jimi Hendrix was, you know, in love with his FT79. and whenever he played acoustically, that was his go-to guitar. So that's one of the things that distinguishes it. Again, they're very rare, these. I've never actually seen another one in the flesh. I've seen pictures of them. I was able to get this one because some silly bugger thought it'd be a good idea to put a dark varnish on the front. You know, they're supposed to be, you know, fairly light coloured fronts and that, spruce tops, you know, sort of thing. But somebody's kind of rather messed it up to a degree. But structurally, it's very, very good. But had it been in pristine condition, there's no way that I could have afforded to buy this guitar. They do fetch an awful lot of money. So, next guitar is this one. This is my little Harmony H929 from somewhere around 1958. These guitars were sold through the Sears and Roebuck catalogue in the USA, and they made these in the hundreds of thousands, possibly even the millions, going right back to the 30s, sort of right through into the 60s, early 70s and that. And every hick in the stick had a little Harmony Stella tucked away somewhere, so he could sit out on his porch and strum a few chords and yodel away, or some whatever turned him on. The thing about these, like a lot of harmony guitars, was that they were done by mail order, and they left the factory and they were never set up. They were not set up properly at all. But in fact, they used solid woods. I mean, I'm not quite sure what these are. I'm not quite sure if they're beech or maple or what was it. One of the sort of, at the time, sort of cheaper woods possibly. But they weren't sort of plywood or anything like that. They were real tone woods basically, and they were just ever so cheap, like really, really cheap. But if somebody had the skill or acquired the skill or knew somebody who had the skill to actually set them up properly, they were quite awesome little guitars. And I absolutely love this guitar. It's the one, I had a travel guitar, they're shit, those little things. So I bought this instead. I take this on holiday with me now. It weighs no, and it doesn't take up a lot of room. Obviously I don't fly with it or anything, you know, but you know, my camper van and that, I take it with me. And it's just my go-to guitar. And I absolutely love it. I can do them all. Yeah, so let's move on. I bought this guitar from a little shop in Duluth, Minnesota, of all places, where a certain Mr. Robert Zimmerman, I think, hails from. And I phoned them up because they'd been advertising this guitar and talked to this really nice lady. And he says, yeah, I'm not doing the American accent, I can't. It's for sale, yeah. She says, but we've got a slight problem. He says, well, it's not a slight problem. She says, we've got a big problem. She says, we have a very dry climate here, and we made a mistake. We stored the guitar in the wrong room. And when we came to get it out, it had developed a separation crack, which is about 2 mil. You know, you can actually see through it, she said. I said, oh, right, okay. She says, but like, I think they're selling it for about $2,000, which was cheap, you know, when in its proper condition. She said, well, she says, look, you know, I'll half the price, she says, because, you know, well, as it happens, I got a fixer back in Barnsley who fixed just about anything. I thought Eddie will fix this. So I said, right, okay, deal was done. So I got this guitar for about 800 quid, which, you know, was absolutely no for one of them. And I take it to my mate Eddie. Eddie's an old man, but he's got a lot of experience. And you know, you take a guitar to somebody and they look at it and they go like this, and they suck their teeth and about it, yeah, nothing about that, you know, going on like this. And then he went quiet. And he says, I'll tell you what I'll do, Dave. I says, what will they do, Eddie? He says, I'll do a note. I says, how do you mean you'll do a note? He says, well, I've got this back bedroom that doesn't have any heating on or anything, you know, and it's quite humid in there. He says, I'm just going to put it in there for maybe 2 to 3 weeks or something like that. He says, and I'll bet you £1 to a penny when I take it out, it will have moved and there will be no separation there, and all I'll have to do then is just pump the right sort of glue into it, and Bob's your uncle, it'll be sound as £1. So I was a bit sceptical. I said, okay, Eddie, you know, you're the gaffer, like. So that was it. 3 weeks later, I goes back. How's it gone, Eddie? Oh, Dave says, it's right as rain, lad, right as rain. I says, yeah. He says, yeah, let's have a look with you. You can just see that there's been a separation there, but, you know so how much do you want, Eddie? He says, gives 20 quid. And it's been right as rain ever since. So there we go, that's the story of the FT79, and that, of all my guitars, I think that is my very, very favourite one. So, more guitars in the next video which I do. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this one. All the best.